Thank you, Sarah. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar. My name is Ramsey. I'm the Building Solutions Senior Applications Expert here with IMAGINiT. My background is in construction, so I have many years of commercial and federal projects doing estimating and project engineering for all the construction phases. All right, so today what we have on the docket are change orders and how change orders pretty much work in ACC. But to understand how change orders work in ACC, you pretty much first have to understand the concept of a change order. So essentially, a change order is any formal document that authorizes, any alterations to the original scope that wasn't there before, schedule change or a cost that affects the schedule change and the cost of a construction project. And numerous factors can contribute to creating a change order on a project. All right, so today we're going to go over how to create change orders within ACC. There's many ways to do it. And then we're going to also go over the change order process. So we start off with the PCO, which is going to be your potential change order. That's where you kind of sift through whether or not this is going to make it out or not. If you do choose to proceed with it, you can turn it into an RFQ, request for quotation, which will then, allow your contractor to price your change order. And then from there, once you have your pricing all set, you can generate a COR, which is a change order request. And from there, you can take it one of two ways. You can go straight to the subcontractor change order, or if the owner needs to be involved, you can make it an owner change order first. And then once the owner approves it, then the subcontractor change order can be issued. We'll also go over how to keep track of it against your budget and against your contract. So there's two different areas that we're going to look at keeping track of change orders. And then we'll do a Q&A at the end. Cool. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So I am in build now, and that's done on purpose. I'm going to actually generate a PCO straight from build. How I'm going to do that, I'm going to go ahead and navigate to my sheets here and pretend I'm on site right now, just, taking a look at everything, making sure, everything on my project is just fine, and I run into an issue. Maybe I notice that my opening is a little bit too wide over here for the door that's supposed to go in. So I will go ahead and place an issue right there. For that, we will say, let's say it's a design issue, and we'll just go ahead and plop it up right here. And there, now we'll have a whole series of options. So now I'm going to go ahead and issue what happened here. So design issue found, opening too big for door. And then we can assign it to whoever is in charge. Maybe the architect needs to get involved and they'll give their input. We can go ahead and generate an RFI from this as well, in case if we need that formal documentation from the architect on how to proceed. But let's say we got approval from the architect to proceed with the design change of the door. Now a PCO has to get created. So we found the issue. Now we're going to go ahead and create a PCO. All right, so right here, it'll carry over the issue name. We can go ahead and modify it. Whoops. Let's try that again. Okay, so we'll just go ahead and create it first, and then we're going to go ahead and rename it in the field. So just hit create. All right, there we go. So PCO has been created. Now we can go ahead and navigate to our cost management field. All right, so once we're in cost management, all of our change orders are going to be housed here. So you can see I have a number of them already going. Just like I explained in the slide deck, you're going to start off with PCO. You're going to basically look at it and say, is this a change order or not? If it is a change order, you'll request your pricing and then generate an official change order request and then get the owner involved and then issue the SEO from there. All right, so right here is my design issue that I encountered. So door opening too big. Need a 3 by 10 door. Something generic like that. All right, so what is the price of this door? That is what we're going to try to find out. So let's go ahead and add a cost item to our change order. This will allow us to, indicate what we're going to do. So here we're going to have 3 by 10 door indicated there. All right, and then from there, I'll assign it to a budget code. So that way I can keep track of it against my budget. So we'll go over to our doors and assign it. Let's do doors and frame, hardware right there. All right, so we have that issued there. And then now all that's left to do is let's go ahead and assign it to a contract. So let's go ahead and allocate it to an existing contract. See what we have here. All right, so door contractor right there. And let's go ahead and assign it there. All right, perfect. So now I can go ahead and either start pricing this myself, or I can go ahead and get the contractor's input. To get the contractor's input, this is where I would go ahead and assign it to a, create an RFQ. And okay, let's just go ahead and price it out ourselves here. So we'll say we got the pricing from the contractor, and it's going to be $1,000 change order, estimated and proposed. All right, so now if internally you guys are all in agreement with everything, you can either open up this flyout and set this as open, and then start generating the COR from there, or you can go ahead and just submit your final approval number here for that PCO, and then generate your change order from there. So yeah, from here we'll just go straight into generating our COR, change order request. Perfect. So now it went from the unofficial stage to the official stage. So we have an official change order request here that we can take. You can see all of our numberings have already carried over, and we're ready to go ahead and send this off. So let's go ahead and set this as open. All right, so I can come in here and I can look at all of the information necessary. I can even generate a document for my PCO if need be, for my change order request, and attach it there. And then from there, I like what I see. I'm just going to go ahead and set this as submitted. And now let's go ahead and accept it. All right, so once this has been accepted internally, now let's go ahead and get the owner involved. So we'll take a look at this and generate OCO. All right, so now my OCO for my design doors has been created. Now this is going to go to the owner's court. Currently it's set to draft, and this is up to us to go ahead and set it as open. All right. If I have a markup formula that I want to add, any overhead and profit, this is where I can add it here. But currently I am satisfied with what I have, so I'm just going to go ahead and submit this number over to the OCO or the owner. And from there, now let's go ahead and submit this. When I submit it, the to and from the to column will populate the owner, and you can go ahead and send them an email that this is coming their way. All right, and then from there now, the owner gets it, and this is what they see. They're going to see your owner change order. They're going to see the name, description if you had it, things like that, all the pertinent information, any document attachments. And then here is the important piece. This is the reference of where this change order had stemmed from. So if we go ahead and click on our reference real quick, you'll see that it'll jump us right to our design issue that we created initially on the drawing. And then if they click the placement, they can see exactly where that design deficiency had occurred. Yep, just like that. So that can populate for you. All right, so we'll go back to our change order. Here are some additional fields that you can fill out, like the submitted date, the response due date, approved, etc. And any additional comments where other personnel need to get involved. So the owner can now contact the architect and say, hey, architect, is this true? So for example, if I just select an architect and I just said, is this really the case? And then the architect will then come back to me, comment back, or to the owner and comment back and say, yes, this is the case, please proceed with this. So the architect will confer internally and come up with an approval. They have the ability to revise and resubmit it to you and send it back to you for that, or they can just reject it altogether. So we'll go ahead and set it as approved. Now it has come back to your court and you are basically seeing the approval. Now it's up to you to basically go ahead and execute that. All right, so once that has been executed, that's basically saying, hey, we got the owner change order approval approved. Now we can pretty much go ahead and proceed with the work, but not so fast. We have to go ahead and issue the subcontractor change order now for them to proceed with the work. All right, so now this committed column, earlier I left it empty on purpose. That's because I didn't want to commit a cost until I got something approved. So I'll go ahead and select this approval right here and generate that SCO. All right, perfect. So now I have my numbers in and I have my subcontractor change order. Now, essentially, I kind of went through it, but, typically you're not going to have the same numbers in the committed cost as you would your marked up cost. So let's say, for example, your marked up cost is the $1,000, but the contractor is only charging $800. So this committed cost is what your contractor is pretty much going to see when you go ahead and issue them this SEO. So you're just going to go ahead and set it as open. All right. Once that is open, now you can go ahead and send it. But before we do that, we have to go ahead and select the contractor. So let's go ahead and select the supplier subcontractor here. Whoops, looks like. Okay, looks like we don't have a contractor there, but that's fine. All right, so yeah, from there you'll just go ahead and set it as sent. The subcontractor will pretty much get it and they will get the notice to proceed. Now, how does this affect your monitoring? Now, let's go ahead and get into that. All right, so we went ahead and processed the change order through all the steps now. If we go to the cost item tab, we can see that door in the cost item tab now, that's going to be something that's going to be utilized. The contract. Now, first, let's go to the cost side. So on the cost side, yes, door, mat, hardware, perfect. So right here is the pending change order, $800. It will go from pending to approved change orders once it's been approved. So it's going to go into this column once you've actually issued it. But if we click here, you can see all the sub items within that pending change order request there. And you're comparing it against the original contract value. So what was the original contract value? Well, if you see original commitment here, you'll see it right there. So 17,793, right? Once this change order has been approved, it will get added to this original commitment, and now your new projected cost for this contract is going to be $18,593 and 75 cents. That's also going to be in your forecast total as well. All right, so this variance column, all it's telling you is how much money you have left over between the contract value as well as, your budgeted value as well as your committed cost. So right here is our budget value, and this is our committed cost. So after this has been bumped up by the change order, our difference, our variance between our budget and our actual cost is $200. It's pretty much what it's saying there. All right, perfect. So that's how I can see it on my contract side. How does it compare on my budget side? Well, pretty similarly, you're going to have your budget table here, all your list of items, and then you're just going to find the doormat hardware. Yep, right here, 1864. Scroll to the right. Oh, whoops, I'm looking at the wrong one. It's actually this one right here. So you'll see that 18793. Right. It's telling us our approved change order here, bump this up to 1893. The original commitment was that 1793. So before this change order, we broke even on our actual costs with the budget. And now we're going to actually commit an $800 cost to this contract, essentially is what we're saying. And yeah, pretty much you can see the projected cost, just like the cost side. Your forecast to complete is a little bit different because this is going to be the budgeted value. And then you're going to have it's going to be your contract value with the new change order. And then this is the difference between the new value committed costs with the budgeted amount there. So you can really start to keep track of these change orders against your budget as well as your contract, essentially, both on cost and budget. And your change orders are pretty much generated, in a multitude of ways. You can generate a PCO from here, just pretty much add it, out of scope, just like that. And then you also have the ability to pretty much do it from the issue side, like I showed. And then you can also generate an RFI and create a PCO that way as well. Whatever method you're utilizing, just know that PCO will always be the beginning phase. This is where you can determine if it's going to be out of scope, budget only, in scope, or contingent, things like that. And this is where you can pretty much hash it out and see if it's actually going to become an official change order request from there. But yeah, essentially that's it for the change order process and things. I'll go ahead and hand it off to Vince and Sarah.
Great work, Ramsey. Yeah, thoroughly covered everything. I don't think there's anything for me to really add to the conversation here, unless there are some questions that are posed in the Q&A panel. But yeah, generally, great overview.
Yeah, great job, Ramsey. That was awesome. I don't see any questions in the panel unless someone has, anything off the top of their heads now. Maybe we could just give it a couple minutes. I did want to mention that the next couple tech tip webinars are also going to be focused on cost management. And it looks like next month's tech tip cost management topic is document templates. So just a reminder, if that's something you're interested in, to go ahead and get registered for our next session. But other than that, I still don't see any questions, and I think we could probably wrap up for the day. All right, thanks so much, everybody, for attending, and thank you, Ramsey, for presenting, and have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, guys.